Hi everyone, today we're going to be taking a look at pages 12 and 13 in your lesson books. So if you don't have your lesson book, you can pause the video and go grab it, and make sure you have your instrument out too, because we're going to be doing some playing together. So taking a look at page 12, there is a big warning sign at the top of the page telling you not to use your bow until your teacher says so. You can think back to last year when we started learning with just pizzicato or plucking, and then we moved into using the bow. At this point, going through this book for the first time as beginners, you still would not have learned how to use the bow. That comes on page 13. But since we are reviewing, I'm going to ask you to use your bow for these. These exercises are missing some of these symbols, which we'll talk about later when we get to page 13. But for right now, we're working on using the bow and playing and reading the notes. So we're looking at number 33, Song for Christine. And this is using all of the notes in the D major scale. So starting on your open D and going all the way up to the high D. These are all of the notes that we worked on last lesson. And this is the last week that your book is going to have these helper notes where it says the name of the note inside of the note head. You won't have that anymore after this week. So we're going to work really hard on being able to recognize those notes, knowing when it's a G or when it's an F sharp. And if in the future you ever have questions about those notes, you know that you can come back to these pages and they're labeled for you. So that can serve as a good reference for you if you need some help. So we're going to start with number 33, like I said, and we're going to do this using the itty bitty bits method that we learned last year, which means we break this 8-measure exercise up into 2-measure chunks. So there'll be 4 2-measure chunks, and do them all individually and then put them all together. So right at the beginning, measures 1 and 2. The first note we play is a high D. This is the highest note you'll have to play today. And if you're a violin or a viola, this is 3 fingers on the A string. If you're a cello, 4 fingers on the A string. And bass, this is that pretty tough note where you have to shift up to 3rd position and put your pinky, your 4th finger on that sticker that we have. So everyone find that note right now. I like to build it up by putting my other fingers down where I know they go. And this is what that note should sound like. Okay, so once you have that, these 2 measures are basically going down the D major scale. D, D, C sharp, B, B, A. So find that D and we're going to play these 2 measures together. Ready, here we go. Okay, we're going to do it again. It's good to do these a couple of times. Let me move my camera down a little bit. There we go. That's better. Okay, putting down my fingers. Again, bow in the sweet spot. Here we go. Okay, that's the first itty bitty bit, our first 2 measures. We're going to move on now to measures 3 and 4. This starts on a G, so we're on the D string now if you're a violin, viola, or cello, and you play this note in the same way that you played your high D. So 3 fingers for violins and violas, 4 fingers for cellos. Bass, this is your open G, so again, a little different on the bass end of things. And we're going to do G, G, F sharp, D, E, E, E. And I love that note E that we end on because every instrument plays that the same way, 1 finger on D. That's one of the only notes that we all play in the same way. So setting down our fingers here, measures 3 and 4. Here we go. Good, let's do it again. If you didn't make it there to the E's with me, we're going to do that one more time. Ready, and... Awesome. Let's put those 2 bits together, the first 4 measures, starting on high D. Ready, here we go. Awesome. Hopefully you made it there with me. If not, Remember, this is new, so it might take some time for you to get really comfortable with this, so you can pause and play through it as many times as you need to. Moving on to measures 5 and 6. These are probably the two hardest measures, but I know everyone can do them. They're difficult because they have some jumps, some skipping notes when you're playing. So we have open D, then F sharp, and then A. So we have to make sure we can get those notes. D, F sharp, and A. Everyone play those with me right now. So we have open D, whatever you do for F sharp, and open A unless you're bass, it's one finger for A. Awesome. Once we get there, it's easy. It's D, F sharp, A, B, B, A. Let's do that together. Measures 5 and 6. Here we go. Let's do it again. Ready? Here we go. Awesome. And I think that measures 7 and 8 are actually the easiest measures of this piece. So G, G, A, D, D, D. Mostly open strings. There's only, for each instrument, only one note that needs a finger. So it's G for your violins, violas, and cellos, and it's the A if you're the bass. So setting down for our G, last two measures, measures 7 and 8. Here we go. Do it again. Here we go. Excellent. So we should be ready to put this whole thing together, starting at measure 1. Well, there's no measure 15. Starting at measure 1. All right. Here we go from the top. Setting down my fingers for D. Ready? Here we go. Awesome. All right, again, if you made it there with me, we're moving on. If not, it's okay to have to pause and go through things a little bit, a few more times before you have them down. That is okay. That's what practice is for, right? So now we're moving on to 34, Natalie's Rose. And again, 8 measures, and we're going to do it in little bits of 2 measures per bit. So starting to look at measures 1 and 2. These measures use a lot of notes, don't they? We start on our open D. We play D, D, E. We skip an F sharp and go to G. So D, D, E, G. Then we go back to F sharp and play F sharp, G, A. Okay, let's try that together. Ready? Here we go. Good. If you're having trouble with that, I would actually make sure you know measure 2 before you know measure 1. Find your F sharp. Play that with me. F sharp, G, A. Here we go. Awesome. Let's do that again. Measures 1 and 2. Measures 1 and 2. Here we go. Great. Measures 3 and 4 now, starting on an F sharp. And this kind of does go in order. There aren't any skips here. F sharp, G, A, B, B, A. Let's try this together. Putting our F sharp down. It's either, let's see, 2 fingers if you're a violin or viola, 3 fingers if you're a cello, and 4 fingers if you're a bass. I'm getting myself all mixed up with all these numbers, but you guys are doing a great job here. Measures 3 and 4. Ready, and. Here we go. Awesome. Measures 5 and 6 are what we call a sequence. You can see in measure 5, we do F sharp, G, A, and then measure 6 looks like we took measure 5 and just bumped it up a step, right? And then it's G, A, B. We call that a sequence in music. It's going to sound like this. Play that with me. Find your F sharp. Ready? Here we go. Now G. Awesome. And the last two measures, 7 and 8. A, B, C sharp, high D, low D, high D. That last measure is really cool. Let me play that for you. We should practice that first. And this is a great way to tell if your high D is in tune, because even though it's an octave apart, it sounds higher. They sound the same. You can hear that when they're in tune. Let me play it for you when it's not in tune so you can tell the difference. They don't sound like they're the same note. They don't both sound like D's. So this is a good way to check your intonation, your tuning, and make sure that you're playing it in tune. Here are the last two measures, measures 7 and 8, starting on A. Here we go. Good, and you'll notice when I played high D, low D, high D, I did not pick my fingers up when I went to go play the low D. You don't need to do that, and that's actually going to make it harder on yourself. Just to show you an example of what not to do. It's just more work to take your fingers off. You don't have to, and so we're going to keep them down. Okay, that's how you ensure that you stay in the same spot. Here's all of 34. Let's play it together. Ready? Here we go. F sharp. Awesome. All right, so those are the two big exercises to work on this week, 33 and 34. But now we're going to take a look at page 13. I have to flip, but you don't, all right? The top of page 13 has the dreidel song. We might come back to that when it's closer to Hanukkah, but we're going to skip that for right now. What I'd like you to look at is the numbers 37 through 39, the rosin wraps. And we're going to talk about those in a second. But before we do, I'm going to give you a couple of quick reminders about what a beautiful bow hold looks like. If you'd like to go back and watch the video that we worked with last year, it's a little bit more in depth, and see exactly where everything goes for that beautiful bow hold, you can. I'm just going to give you a very quick reminder on a couple of things. Okay, so first thing, we really want your thumb to be right up against the stick here, right? It's not going in the notch. It's going right here, pointed up. It's not pointing sideways, right up towards the ceiling, okay? And it's bent out. The joint is bent out. It's not bent. It's not straight, and I can't do this, but I know many kids can, where you bend your thumb backwards. You don't want that either. That's going to lead to problems in the future. So nice bent thumb like this, pointing up at the ceiling. Your other fingers are going to flop over. Really relax. You should be able to do this as you're, not as you're playing, but do this as you're setting up your beautiful bow hold. Middle finger goes on this metal piece. You have your fingers flopped over. My thumb is still bent in the back. My hand gives a slight tilt to the left, and then my pinky, if I'm a violin or a viola, goes on the top. If I'm a cello, I can choose on the top or down. It's your choice, and bass, it definitely goes down. Okay, that's my quick reminder on bow holds. Now, if we look on the board here, I have our two symbols for the two directions that our bows can go in. We have a down bow. Anytime you see this symbol over a note, it means you're going to go in the down direction. I'll remind you of what that looks like in a moment. Anytime you see this symbol over a note, it means you're going to do an up bow. Okay. Generally, and you can flip through the book and see that this is the case, the first note in an exercise or in a piece of music will always have the bow direction written. it will 90% of the time be a down bow, and about 10% of the time it'll be an up bow, okay? And they're not going to label every single note. On page 13 they do, because that's what we're working on. But after page 13, they're not going to label every single note. So the rule is, if you start down bow on the first note, the next note is going to be up, and then a down, and then an up. So it just goes back and forth, alternating like that. If they wanted you to do 2 down bows or 2 up bows in a row, which does happen, they would mark that, and we actually will get to that either later this year or next year. That is something that happens, and it's kind of neat when it happens. So just a reminder, the down and up has nothing to do with the direction that your hand is moving. And the best example of that is if you're a cello or bass player, your hand goes to the right and to the left as you play. Okay, so you're never going down or up. So that's why I'm going to show you just a reminder of the direction that your bow goes in. So when you're going from the frog end to the tip end, that is a down bow. And when you're going from the tip to the frog, that is an up bow. So down bow and up bow. Okay, so now turning our attention to number 37, the rosin wrap. You can see that they have down bows, rests, and up bows, and we're going to practice that together. 2 quick things before we play. First of all, I'm changing the directions a little bit. What they've asked you to do, and it's kind of fun, is to actually have some rosin here so I can show you. Practice the bow direction. Since there aren't notes here, this is just a rhythm. To do it on your rosin like this, down and up. If you'd like to do that once, you can, but after you do it one time, please don't do it again. The reason being that you can over rosin your bow, and if you do, it's a mess. There's like rosin dust and powder flying all over the place. So I don't want that to happen. And I know we have a lot of students who are excellent practicers, and we'll probably do this a few times this week. So right now I'm going to demonstrate doing it without the rosin. What we're going to do is 2 different ways. First, we're going to air bow it, and then we're going to play it on an open string. Okay, and as we play, you'll notice maybe some symbols at the end that you have not seen before. They look like this. This is called a first ending, and this is called a second ending. And here's how this works. You're going to start at the beginning of number 37 and play measures 1, 2, and 3. Then you're going to get to this first ending. You play it the first time. That's why it's called the first ending. And at the end of the first ending, we have a repeat sign. That means go back and do it again. So you play, get to the first ending, repeat, and go back to the beginning. This time when you play measures 1, 2, and 3. That's the repeat. But when you get here, you're going to skip over the first ending and go to the second ending. And that's how you know you are done. Okay? That's a new thing for us, but you're going to see that in music all the time. So I'm glad it's coming up now. So I'm looking at 37. I'm going to say the words that they have. I guess that's the wrap part of the rosin wrap. And I'm going to air bow. So either like this, if you're a violin or viola, or like this, if you're a cello or bass. Here we go for number 37 with the repeat. Here we go. Down, rest, up, rest. Down, rest, up, rest. Down, up, down, up, down, rest, up. We repeat. Down, rest, up, rest. Down, rest, up, rest. Down, up, down. Second ending, down, rest, up, rest. Nice job. Okay, so now we're going to take our instrument. We're going to take our bow, beautiful bow hold, and set it in the sweet spot on the D string. So we'll play the rosin wrap rhythm on our open D string. No fingers needed. We're just practicing the downs and the up bows. So ready, here we go. Rest, 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 repeat. Here's the second ending. Down, rest, up. Good, and you might have noticed when I come to a rest, I don't take my bow off the string. That would be actually, again, make things a lot harder on you. I just stop the bow right on the string. If you try to do this, you're going to go crazy trying to do all of that. So stop the bow on the string. That's what you do for the rest. 38, and by the way, we'll go through 38, and then 39 will be for you to do on your own, and we'll go over it in our lesson when we meet. So here we go. Let's air bow 38. Down, up, down, rest. Up, down, up, rest. Down, up, rest. Rest, down, up. Now we repeat. Down, up, down, rest. Up, down, up, rest. Down, up, rest. Second ending. Down, up, rest, rest. Let's play it. This time, how about we play our open A string? Open A string. Number 38. Ready? Here we go. Rest. 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 Now we repeat. Rest. 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 Awesome. So like I said, 39 is for you to do on your own. And when we meet for our lesson, we'll go through those two tunes on page 12 and then the rosin wraps on page 13. All right. So if you have questions, let me know. And I'm excited to see you at your next lesson.